electronic tracking device so their commanders can monitor them. It's called Blue Force tracking. Some law enforcement units back home have experimented with chips that give physical data about officers but don't have tracking signals. U.S. military officials say soldiers and Marines in most regular combat units in Iraq, like the Missing Soldiers Division, are not outfitted with tracking devices. One reason? The danger involved if a soldier... One option, placing a tracking microchip under a service member's skin. Former U.S. Special Operations officers tell us they believe that's being developed. Current military officials won't comment on that, Wolf.
Yeah, what about the cost, Brian? Is that at all a consideration?
It's a big consideration. Just about every former officer I spoke with says the cost of outfitting each combat troop with a tracking device is one of the main reasons they don't have them right now.
So when you speak with the various special operations types and others, and I know you've been doing a lot of reporting on this, the pros and cons of having these kinds of tracking devices, what do they say, Brian?
Some believe that every service member should have them. Some don't because of the risks we talk about. But others say if they can deal with the cost and pay for all of this, it is worth it not only to track missing troops, but to be able to tell friendlies from enemies on the battlefield.
Brian Todd reporting for us. Such devices, by the way, are not just tools for war. They're also tools that could keep all of us and all of our families safe. We saw that back in February when 3 mountain climbers and their dog were stranded overnight on Oregon's Mount Hood. Rescuers found them all safe by tracking their mountain locator unit, a device similar to the one seen here. Also, many...
And the mark of the beast, not only do you have to know the Bible and the dark sayings of the Bible, you have to know languages outside of the English language. You know, you have certain knuckleheads out there, Israelites, that, you know, claim they can...
Don't let nobody try to be slick and go, well, brother, when you go into the Greek. If you notice, every doctrine has to go to the language.
Exactly.
They cannot ever explain their doctrine in English. Now, they're going to the Paleo-Hebrew, brother. Paleo.
Exactly. Watch out for slick talking, brother.
Going to the Bible. And that's all they need. They don't have to look up words in the Greek or look up words in the Hebrew, or go into outside sources. The scriptures say watch as well as pray. But these are lazy Israelites. You know, guys like Nate and Johanna and the rest of those clowns out there. You know, we go thoroughly into the scriptures, okay? But anyway, I would like to read something from one of the books that we put out. The Mark of the Beast is the chip. And just to show you that you have to go into the Greek, the Hebrew, and into the Greek to get a further understanding. That's why, like I said, going back to what I said about these other Israelite groups, none of them believe that the mark of the beast is a microchip. They don't even know about the microchip. They have no clue as to what's going on. They don't know that it relates to the Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act. And then, which makes them say that we don't know, the Lord might come another 40 years from now. They're lost, man. They're lost. Anyway, I'm going to read this. This is on page 35 of this book. It says, and it says this: the meaning and connotation of the Hebrew and Greek words for mark is imperative for Israel to know and understand in order to differentiate between the mark found in Leviticus 19:28, Ezekiel 9:4, Romans 16:17, and Revelation, again we're reading this again, Revelation 13:16, as well as be able to identify and recognize the R.F.I.D chip. Let me say something on the R.F.I.D. The R.F.I.D is acronym for radio frequency identification. Now, Nate had did a video on YouTube where he kind of laughed at the fact that the mark of the beast is a chip, and he said that it represented a corporation. It didn't represent a man man or woman or child.
So the subject is, with this particular mark, you can't buy or sell. Can somebody tell me what a radio frequency chip has to do with that? A radio frequency identification is meant as what? A GPS. To find location. Where's my dog? A sister wrote me and said, my dog has an R.F.I.D chip. I said, well, maybe he can go buy some land for you.
And furthermore, he said that what is a R.F.I.D? What is a R.F.I.D? What is a R.F.I.D system? And he said it's basically a GPS device. Where can I find my dog? Then he made a joke that one of the sisters had a dog that got the chip, and she put the chip in the dog, and she had went to Nate and said, my dog has an RFID chip. What does that mean? And he said, well, that's good. Maybe your dog can buy some lamb for you. All right? And they laughed it off. You know, stupid people laugh at stupid things, you know? And Nate is a stupid ass. Anyway, reading on, I'm sorry. It says, able to identify and recognize the RFID chip as being the mark of the beast. The Hebrew used in Ezekiel 9:4 is the Hebrew word thawa, which means sign, mark, or signal. And the Greek used in Romans 16 and 17, it says 6 and 17, but it should be 16 and 17, is skopeo, which is a Greek word which means to look at, observe, behold. The mark in Revelation 13 and 16 is from the Greek word charagma, corresponds and correlates to the mark in Leviticus 19 and 28, which is the Hebrew word kwai, as the mark of the beast is in, keep it down, as the mark of the beast is a sin or transgression aforementioned law. Revelation and Leviticus are evidently and undoubtedly associating the mark with the puncturing of one's flesh. Should one choose to receive the mark, also known as the R.F.I.D chip, they will find themselves in severe violation of the Most High's law on multiple accounts. All right? Now, like I said, I just read, and I checked this out myself on the Blue Letter. When you look up the word in Leviticus, and you look up the word mark there, the word there is in fact kwai. When you go to Ezekiel, matter of fact, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go to Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, and I'll start the 4th verse. It says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the heads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Now that word there for mark is not the same word for kwai. All right? That word mark basically is something that the Most High is going to put on his chosen elect. You know? There's going to be like a marker, for lack of a better term, on that person. It's not going to be, the Most High is not going to put a physical mark on you. Now, when you look that word up, as I said, the word there is thawa. When you look up that Hebrew word thawa, the Hebrew word thawa means exempt from judgment. Because when you go back to Ezekiel the 8th chapter, it spoke about how it was given to Ezekiel by the Most High through the angels, the angel, that you see all the wickedness that Israel is doing. So now this is what I'm going to do to them, because the Lord said that there are certain men that are following my laws and have not turned their back to me, but the majority of my people have turned their back. And you had the women weeping for Tammuz. It tells you in Jeremiah that the women were making cakes to the queen of heaven, and our people do that secretly. So the Most High said, I'm gonna separate them that sigh and cry, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna destroy the rest of the Israelites. And it's talking about Israelites. All right. Now, I want to also go into this briefly. I just want to read these scriptures. And the first scripture is Revelation 14 and 8 to 11. Revelation. And these scriptures speak about the ones of you that accept this microchip, which is the mark of the beast. And this is what's going to happen to you. Revelation 14, I'm going to start at the 8th verse, and it says this. It says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, which is America, is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's spiritual fornication. And our 9th verse, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, that's the modern beast, NATO, the UN system, the EU, the Obamacare is a part of that system, worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark, all right, in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Now that's talking about what? When this system goes down, the Lord is coming back with his majestic angels, and the angels, and the Lord and the angels, when they come back in the so-called UFOs, you can't put a number on them. There's going to be an innumerable amount of angels in the sky that's going to cover the skies of America and around the world. Matthew 24 says to cover the four corners of the earth. And the ones of you that have received that mark, guess what? You're not going to be beamed up into them ships, and you're going to be destroyed by this thermonuclear destruction from the Russians and possibly the Chinese, and the laser beams that's going to come out of those ships, led by the Lord Yahweh Shai and his angels. So, you know, I mean, all we can do is give you this truth, and you can either accept it or reject it.